What's going on YouTube? This is IPSEC. I'm doing Sauna from HackTheBox, which is just a Windows box with a web server and Active Directory installed on it. We've done plenty of AD in the past. The videos that come to mind are Real, Active, Sizzle, and Forest. The thing that really sets this one apart is you can't just use RPCClient or LDAP to dump all the users on the box. Instead, we can kind of do Boolean logic to check if a user exists through KerBrute pre-authentication. Essentially, you give it a username. If KerBrute responds with pre-authentication required, you know that user exists on the box. So we're going to go through the website of the box, pull a bunch of names off the site, and then use a bit of Vim magic to convert those names into possible usernames, pass it into a tool called KerBrute to find some valid usernames, and then with those usernames, pass it to some Impacket scripts to do some ASREP roasting to get a password hash of an account, pass it to hashcat, crack it, log into the box, and then once you log into the box, privesking is simply running BloodHound and WinPEAS, combining the two outputs, and you can DCSYNC. So it probably sounds a lot more complicated than it is, so let's just jump in. As always, we want to start off with an Nmap, so -sc for default scripts, SV, enumerate versions, OA, output all formats, put in the Nmap directory, and we have to create it. Create the Nmap directory, and then we can call it Sauna 10.10.10.175. Always want to run Nmap with sudo, and then I'm going to add a -v flag so we can see open ports as it finds it. We see 80 is open, which is going to be a web server, 53 DNS, a bunch of like SMB RPC ports. I don't know exactly what 3268 is. Don't know what 593. I think 636 is encrypted LDAP. We see KerBrute down here. So based upon saying 445, which is SMB, so we know this is a Windows box, 53 DNS, and 88 KerBrute, I'm guessing this is a Windows domain controller. So the very first thing I want to do is probably enumerate 445, and then we'll move on to port 80. So let's do CrackMapExec SMB 10.10.10.175 to see everything about this host. We see the host name is going to be Sauna. The domain name is egotistical-bank.local. Signing is set to true, and SMB v1 is disabled. So let's do --shares to see if we can enumerate any shares. And we get a status user session deleted. We can try a blank username and password to see if this gets around that. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And we see access denied, so we can't. We could try other tools like SMBMap. I think it's -I, 10.10.10.175-U-P, -H. Run this. And we don't really get anything. So could go and try a bunch of SMB tools, but if CrackMapExec and SMBMap don't get anything, generally move on. We can try RPCClient 10.10.10.175, and we can't connect. Let's just do a blank user. It's -W. And then I think it's enum.dom.users to see if we can get a username dump. We get access denied, so can't really do anything with this. The one thing I want to do is start creating notes. So let's do Control-N to create a new node, call it Sauna, Control-Shift-N for a child node, call it Notes. And then I'm going to copy the domain, egotistical-bank.local. And we'll paste that in here. And we can go check out the web server, 10.10.10.175. So it looks like a standard page. I'm going to press Control-U, and we're going to see if we can identify what like CMS or how this is built. If we saw like WordPress or Drupal stuff, we know to run those type of scanners, but I don't really see any of that. The next thing we could probably do is try to guess the extension, so probably index.html. We got that. We could try PHP, not found, ASP, ASPX. So it looks like it's HTML files. If we did have this in burp suite, we could probably just have burp crawl it and then identify files that way. So let's turn intercept off, refresh the page, go over to target, and then we could just look at files this way and could also maybe passively scan. Scan. It's been so long since I used the new version of burp suite, I don't even know how to launch a crawl, but go through and see if we see any extensions, but everything is just HTML. So click on the pages, see if we have anything unique. Just looking for ways we can interact with this. So there is this newsletter here, so we can put our email address. So we'll do like, oh my God, is that? So the color is white on white for some reason. So we're just going to put, please subscribe at ipsec.rocks, highlight it so you can see it, click subscribe, and HTTP verb used to not allowed. So let's go to proxy, intercept. I'm guessing this was a post request, and maybe post just isn't allowed. So send, we get method not allowed. This is verb. It's like get, post, head, options. There's a few of those verbs. So let's change the request method to a get request. And doesn't look like anything happened. So I'm looking at the page, bytes at the bottom. So 31223. Just making sure that doesn't change. And let's get rid of this email. So 31223, 31223. So I don't have to read this whole thing. I can guess the page is probably the same. So doing that just did nothing. So we can just move on from that. Let's see. Scroll all the way up, click around blogs. Blogs could have something useful. Single.html. Are these all the same? Yes, it is. So this is definitely some type of static website. So this looks like different posts. Clicking on these posts, we go to the same single.php page. So at this point, I'm assuming this is just a static page, and we have to just get some type of valuable information off this. We could run cool, which is like going to gather a word list based upon the web page. I bet if we just do anything here, it's going to go to invalid verb. Invalid verb, so nothing there. So could run cool and grab information off this, but if we had a password list, we don't really know an account yet. So let's see if we can find usernames on a page. So maybe the About Us page. And we have users. So let's copy this, go over to Cherry Tree, Control-Shift-N, users, paste. It doesn't want to paste. So let's Windows key L to put that on the left. Oh God, it pasted all the images and everything. But Windows key L left to put it on the left. I did Windows key right here to put it on the right. And it'll just make it quicker to copy and paste. So let's just copy the usernames this way. Oh God. Control A, delete, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So now we have a list of potential users. We have to convert this into username formats that Windows generally uses. So let's do this. Users.text. And we could also try searching LDAP because Active Directory does expose LDAP. So we could do LDAP search -x-h 10.10.10 175. We have to get the naming context, so -s base, naming context. And we want this string. We can do -b, and query LDAP manually. And if we're lucky, we could potentially get usernames, but it looks like we don't have that permission. If it was allowed for anonymous LDAP, down here you'd see a bunch more information for like Hugo Smith, which is a user, I believe. We'd see something like this right here. What is this? This is DN. Let's just grep-i for Sam, because the username in Active Directory is like a Sam account name, but we don't get that. So this doesn't really tell us the username format. LDAP's not giving us anything. So going back to that users.txt file, we could create a Python script to transform this into a bunch of potential usernames, but whenever you do like a CTF or you're under a time constraint, you don't always want to write a script, and sometimes it's handy just to know how to use the tools you have. So I'm going to use a vim macro. So we're going to start the macro off by doing QA, and that means record this macro and it's going to be on A. So I'm going to start this macro off with YY to yank the line, and I want to change this into probably 3 other things. So I'm going to do a 3P to put the line I just yanked 3 times. So we can see Fergus Smith is now got 4. I'm going to hit home just so my cursor is always going to be at the beginning, /space, then S period escape. So that fixed that one spot. I'm going to hit the down arrow, home key again, right 1, DW for delete word, go down 1, hit the home key, right 1, DW, I for insert, period, to put a dot there, hit the down key, hit the home, escape to exit insert mode, and Q to exit recording mode. So now when I do @A, it replays all those keys I just did to Vim. And then we have 4 more lines, so I can do 4@A to repeat it 4 times, and now we have a really nice user list of everything we saw. So WQ to exit, and I'm going to go grab a tool called KerBrute, which 0xDF pointed out to me, because this does a Kerberos pre-authentication attack against it, AD, and this can help us identify valid users. So essentially, when you attempt to authenticate to an AD server via KerBrose, if you have a valid username, it's going to say, hey, please continue with pre-authentication. If you don't have a valid username, it doesn't do that, and that's how this attack essentially works. And then you can also do brute forcing passwords with this. And the cool thing about it, it's not going to create event code 4624. It's going to create a Kerberos failure thing, which by default is not logged. So it's a good way to brute force accounts with potentially just not being seen. It does increase the failed login if they have that locked out. You can lock accounts out with this. It's not a bypass to that. It's just a way to do a password spray without creating that event code 4624. But we're not going to do a password spray with it. We're going to use it to enumerate valid usernames. So I'm just going to download it. You could clone it and build it yourself if you wanted to. And I'm going to copy that into my directory, chmod +x, and I'm just going to rename it because I don't want that Linux AMD 64. But when we execute it, we can see all the modes. We want to do user enum. So we do user enum -h and see the flags. So username word list is going to be users.txt. But before we give it the word list, we have to tell it where the domain controller is. So --DC 10.10.10.175-D, which is the domain, egotistical bank.local, and then now we can do users.txt. And we don't find a single one. So let's go into users.txt and let's create something that we know exists, like an user called administrator. We could also do guest, because these are default Windows accounts. So we should always get hits with these accounts. So we can see our KerBrute script does work because we validated administrator egotisticalbank.local exist. So let's see if we want to do any more permutations on the name. And right now I'm noticing that there's a space at the end of every line. The $ just means end of line. The space means, well, it's a space. So let's do $%s space $, and that's going to search for anything that has a space and then end of line. Do another slash, so replace it with nothing, and G to make it global. So now we removed the trailing space from all the lines. Let's go and run this again, and we get two valid users, administrator and FSMITH. So let's go to users, and we can say administrator FSMITH. So we know those two are valid. And at this point, I'm going to check the Impacket scripts, what we can do with usernames. And to find my location of Impacket, I always just do locate PSExec.py because I never can remember this example directory. But I highly recommend, if you don't know all these scripts, go through each of them and just like add exec-h less and read the description to find out exactly what they do. Because there's two scripts that are super valuable. It's GetNPUser, which is going to be the ASREP Roast, or some people call it KerB roasting, but this is the ASREP one. And it queries the target domain for users that do not require KerBrute pre-authentication set, and it can export their ticket, granting ticket for cracking. And another good one is GetUserSPN. I think this one's set if it's store password in reversible format. I'm not exactly sure what that one is, but definitely take a look at all the Impacket scripts. There's definitely really good ones there, but this is the one we want to use probably. So let's do target. So this will be egotisticalbank.local/administrator, and the next one we'll do is FSMITH. And let's see, do we get anything? It's taking a while, so I'm just going to do two. Egotisticalbank.local/FSMITH. And it doesn't look like it's working. Oh, we probably should, at this point, add the domain to our DNS. So sudo vi etc host 10.10.10.175 egotistical bank. We can call it also Sauna, and sauna.egotisticalbank. So now we say we cannot authenticate to administrator, can't do TGT. User administrator doesn't have that set. So now let's try FSMITH. And we can get the TGT. And we can crack this because the encryption key or signing key for this is going to be the user's password. So let's go over to a Kraken machine. And you can just use hashcat on your desktop. I wouldn't recommend using hashcat in a VM ever, just because cracking is generally a CPU or GPU intensive process. So doing it in a VM where you are constrained generally doesn't work out well. So VI, let's do hashes/sauna, paste that, and we can do /hashcat -- example hashes, grep for, what was it? KerB, or we'll just grep for ASREP and look for 23. ASREP. So we have it here. It's only one format. So I can do less ASREP. Let me see, mode 18200. So let's do /hashcat -m 18200. And the word list, which is going, the hash file, which is going to be hashes sauna. And then the word list we want to use first, I always use opt word list rocku.txt. And we'll see if we get any hits. We got one crack. looking at it, the password is the strokes 23. So let's go here, creds, where was it? FSMITH, the strokes 23. So now let's see what we can use with this. So I'm going to do CrackMapExec, SMB, 10.10.10.175-U, FSMITH-P, the strokes 23. And we can see it is valid, but it doesn't have pwn to it. So we can't just PSExec into it. I'm going to do -- shares to see if there's any shares we want to go enumerate. This should tell us if we have write access to anything and just list them in general. And I guess, okay. I was going to say, that looks like it's taking a while. We do have a printer. That's funny. We can print money. Oh, we can't print money. But can copy this. Notes. Paste that. Switchploit. RICOH. For some reason, I remember there being, local privesc with this. What is this date? Switchploit-X 2019. Let's go back to this page. Let's do a wget on this image. EXIF tool on about.html. So about.html was created February 10th, which is probably around the time this box was created. And the RICOH privesc we saw was a 2019 CVE. So I'm just going to local privesc, put a note for that, because that is definitely interesting. But we still don't have a way to get shell in the box. So let's go and try WinRM for Windows Remote. And this will tell us if we can get on the box. Come on. Sometimes it takes a while to run. Let's see. And it shows that we can indeed get on the box. So Evil-WinRM, I think we give it -I for IP, 10.10.10.175-U for user, FSMITH, B for password, the strokes 23. And here we are. So let's go and run WinPEAS. So let's go ls opt, privilege, escalation script, awesome suite, WinPEAS, WinPEAS exe. It's under, I think, WinPEAS again. Bin, release, WinPEAS exe. Let's just copy that to our current directory, and then we can upload WinPEAS.exe to upload this file to the box. And now we can run it. So /WinPEAS.exe and let that run. And while that runs, I'm going to go check out RICOH privesc. So let's see. Components. And printer setup. So maybe we should run this command. So it's abusing a create file. And there's a proof of concept. So we should probably try this. Let's see. copy this, and Evil-WinRM. Let's get a second shell to this so we can run that iCackles command. To see if the vulnerable driver is on this box. That was not the command I want to run. Still not. Let's do Control-Shift-Insert. There we go. Can I find the path? CD/program data dir. I don't think it exists. Should have a RICOH driver. And we don't. So, don't know what that's doing there. Could just be something the creator, I think Egotistical, wanted to do and then decided not to. So let's just move on. In notes, we can say the directory does not exist. Does not exist. So let's go take a look at everything. Let's just go to the very top. There we go. See what it shows. So we got PowerShell 2.0. So we could probably evade any type of logging if there was by just going to that. Laps is not installed. wdigest not enabled. So far, nothing is sticking out. No AV, UAC. And we have auto logon credentials with SVC loan manager and this password. So let's go create creds, SVC loan manager, put this password. And I'm just going to go quickly, seeing if I see anything like in red highlight yellow font, because that would mean definitely should look at that. And we don't see anything. So let's do net user svc underscore loan mgr / domain. This will tell us like what groups it's in and what it is. So it's in remote management user and it's just a domain user. We can try our account, which is FSMITH. Same thing. We can do net user / domain. And there is a HSmith account. So let's look at what HSmith is a member of. Just domain users, doesn't have that remote management. So even if we had his password, can't really do anything. His password expires, or it's already expired. Let's check loan manager. How is that configured? Password expires never. So let's go and run BloodHound. And I don't think I've ran BloodHound since I switched to Parrot. So the reason why I'm going BloodHound is because it is Active Directory. So yeah. Going to install BloodHound first with sudo apt install BloodHound. Yes. And then we're going to search Google GitHub BloodHound to quickly go to the BloodHound page, because this is the best place I found to download the ingesters if you don't want to compile it yourself. So we can download sharphound.exe. And doesn't look like I wanted to download. Wonder if I can just copy the link. wget that. Sweet, downloaded. File sharphound. Come on. Terminal's lagging a little bit. It is a executable. So we can go back to our shell, upload sharp_pound.exe. And then while that runs, we can launch BloodHound. We probably need to run this. Oh, we probably don't have to run this one with sudo. Neo4j, we're going to have to start. So sudo neo4j console. Let this start. And then we have to change the password in Bolt. So let's go here. And then username, the default password is also neo4j. So let's just put the password of please sub. And now when we go to BloodHound, put the password please sub. We should be able to log in. There we go. BloodHound's kind of picky sometimes when you type. It doesn't try to reconnect, and if it doesn't get a valid connection, it doesn't let you click that logon button. If you ever forget the neo4j password, I believe you just delete a file in here. Let's see. ls conf data databases. Let's see. Reset neo4j password. Neo4j stop. I guess you can just follow those. There was normally a file I normally just deleted, and I can't find that file. But password is please sub. I'm sure the next video I'm going to have to find a way to reset the password because I'll most likely forget it. So we uploaded #pound. We can execute #pound. And this will create a zip. It used these collection methods, group, sessions, trust, ACL. So let's do download this file. Then we need to go places, home to open up a file browser. Go to Sauna. And then we can just drag and drop onto BloodHound. And we can see it is now processing. And the first thing I always like doing is marking my users that I have as owned. So I just search for SVC loan, mark user as owned, and we want to mark FSMITH as owned as well. Then we can do, let's see, click here, queries, shortest path from owned principals, and let's just check each one. This is just showing we can PS remote to the DC, not showing anything else. So let's check the FSMITH principal. Same exact thing. Find all domain admins, only administrator. Shortest path. Let's see. Enterprise admins, we're not in that group. Administrator's not in that group. And this user. So nothing here helps. Principals with DCSYNC rights. Oh god, that's weird graph. But let's go over this. Administrator. Nothing. This is the box itself. We got this one, SVC Loan Manager. So we can click on the edge, right click, help, and it says the user SVC Loan Manager has the DS replication get changes all privilege on the domain. Individually, the edge doesn't grant the ability to perform the attack. However, in conjunction with this right, they can perform it. And if you look at that second one, get changes, that is most likely that right. Come on. Sometimes it's hard to click on the edges, but abuse info. If we want to run Mimikatz on the box, we could, but Impacket has a DCSYNC tool as well, so we can just run that tool. So let's go first, create a new pane. We don't need this pane anymore. So we can do SecretsDump.py, egotistical bank.local / svc loan mgr at 10.10.10.175. And let's copy the password. So, whoops, we don't want that yet. Essentially, how SecretsDump works, it's just SecretsDump and then a username and then at the target. So egotistical-bank.local, that's the domain, SVC loan manager, that's the user, at 10.10.10.175, which is the domain controller. Paste the password in, and we can see it doing a DCSYNC. And essentially what this attack is it's saying, hey, domain controller, I'm another domain controller. In order to join the domain, we need to sync passwords. So send me all the hashes and stuff. So that's essentially what DCSYNC is. And that lets us get the administrator hash. And we can probably use this to do a pass the hash attack. So we can do CrackMapExec -u administrator -p, or I think -H for hash. So let's try this first. 10.10.10.175. Come on. And we can see it says pwned. Whenever it says pwned, we should be able to do PSExec. So let's do the same thing. Let's just go to a SecretsDump command, erase that, and do PSExec.py and change it to be administrator .py twice. Paste the hash. Oh, I copied pwned. Let's copy this. Validate that's my clipboard. Run it. PSExec.py-h. Let's see, is there a special thing for a hash? -hashes. Try this. Requesting shares. So the format for -hashes is, let's see, landman hash, NTLM hash. And this is actually like that AAD3B thing. That's, let's see, this, which is the landman hash of nothing. Windows doesn't really use this anymore, and it's not part of the authentication. You can either authenticate with landman, which is disabled nowadays, or NTLM. And since the tool is asking for both, since it's not going to use landman, I just always have the habit of pasting the NTLM twice. So with this, we can now go to cd/users, administrator, if I can type, desktop, and get the root.txt. So that'll be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you all next week.